Gerry, 99 points conceded by the two South African side. Something of an ignominious start for them. What are your expectations for them over these first few weeks?
Not great. The Cheetahs are the better of the two, but they're divvying up their commitments, splitting their squads, splitting their backroom staff to compete in two fronts almost simultaneously. They're playing in the Currie Cup, same weekends they're playing in the Pro14. And looking at their website, they say this is due to the, quote, short notice, unquote, in which they were admitted to the Pro14, which shows you was very much a last-minute job. I'm hearing on the grapevine that this is going to have particular logistical difficulties for Leinster, who are first to go over there in a couple of weeks' time and play the two of them back-to-back. That, organising flights at this late stage and whatever is proving, and seats and planes for business class and so forth for their players is proving quite problematic. But on the playing front, it is worth noting that perhaps the Pro14 compares more than favourably with the Currie Cup because of the starting 15 that beat the Golden Lions the week before, and the Cheetahs are going very well. They're second in the Currie Cup in the standings. Of that 15 that beat the Golden Lions the week before, a dozen pitched up in Ravenhill. So they appear to have prioritised the Pro14, but not to any great negligible effect. I think it's easy enough to be negative at this point in time. They're not being that competitive, and they mightn't be in the first few weeks or maybe over the course of this first season, but they probably will get better. And they're saying that this clash won't happen again. How they're going to get around that, I don't know. But I would say they were certainly entertaining to watch, and they did concede the Cheetahs 26 points while they were down to 14 men. The two yellow cards hit them hard. And there's some pace in their ranks, and they an exciting brand of rugby, and it was an entertaining match, albeit they ultimately weren't that competitive over the course of the 80 minutes.
Keith, is there any danger that they bring the competition into some sort of disrepute over these first few weeks in that? So Ulster have got their win against the Cheetahs, Scarlets have hammered the Southern Kings, but they're going to get stronger as the season goes on, so you could well see Connacht facing a far different side in 3-4 months' time than the one Scarlets and Ulster have had to face this week. It doesn't seem like it's a particularly level playing field.
No, I think that's the nature of the rushed entry into it. And look, I don't know that people are entirely happy with them coming in. I do think that the view from Pro 12 to Pro 14 was that it's time for change and something needs to be done because the amount of money that's been generated by television deals elsewhere is proving to be a huge gap. I would have said it was a very hasty entry and a bit early, but I do know that something had to change, and this was the route in which Pro Rugby decided to take. And I'm not saying we can all just forget about the things that we wouldn't particularly like about that and say, yeah, let's support it to the fullest. But this is a rugby playing country that will react properly and will go very well, I would say, by the middle of it, by the end of this season. And that may lead itself open to some pretty tough matches for I think the guys at the start may get the easier run of it, but I would expect them to become an awful lot better. I would also see them being a conduit for other players to join their ranks next year and the year after as an opportunity to go and play in Europe. And there's an awful lot at stake in rugby at the present moment in time, and this is one of the first power moves outside the norm for that to happen. So for that, it's exciting. For the standard of the play and the sort of confusion of splitting squads is very awkward, but I think we have to kind of grin and bear it for a while and hope that it is something that can be of benefit down the line. We just don't have all the information for it, and it did happen very late in the day.
As Keith mentioned there, the overriding reason for all this is that something needed to change in the Pro 12 and TV rights deals and getting an enhanced TV rights deal. But right now, you mentioned there Leinster's logistical difficulties of having to go to South Africa next week. Financially, is that a huge burden on the provinces? Suddenly having to bring 50 people?
I'm told that the cost of these trips, like going to Italy, will be covered.
Okay.
So that won't be an issue. It's just more the actual, people think because it's a limited time difference that, it's a short hop, skipping away. But of course it isn't, as Keith knows very well. And that it's just the logistical difficulties of getting there at, just a few days before the match and then returning. And the games are only 5 days apart. They're playing Sunday, Friday, I think. So that's going to be quite taxing for them. And I would imagine they'll come back from that trip fairly drained. And you make a very good point, and that is the unevenness of this. Not alone do some teams are going to have 11 home games and 10 away, or vice versa over the course of the season, but Ulster, that's their one and only meeting with the Cheetahs at home when they were competing the same weekend, the Curry Cup. Definitely in a more preferable time to be facing them.
Yeah. Let's look back then on what happened. We've quite a few texts coming in saying it's the first weekend, lads. No point in the media running this down. Give it some sort of a chance. And we'll definitely do that.